our panel for the day. I would like to start with Mr. Amit Jaipuria, founder of Postcard Travel Club. And I will be round of applause. Thank you. Up next, Mr. Manav Saraf, Director, Gainwell Travel. Mr. Manav, can you please make your way to the dais? Thank you so much. Can we have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you. Next up, we have Ms. Nupur Gupta, Industry Manager, Travel, Google, India. And finally, Ms. Paj Raghava, CEO, Tours Limited. So, this topic has been very current. We've been throwing around the word vibe a lot. But let's start a little bit before that. Let's start what happens before that. We all love telling a little bit of a story, don't we? And I'm sure that we've all had that one friend, who tells us about their trip to Europe and how they could feel the air and touch the grass, especially if they come from Bombay. Or how you once found one tucked away beach in Bali, or how you found one street, one corner, one cafe, one hotel. We love telling these stories. My point is that travel today isn't just about places anymore. It's about the stories we collect and the identities that we build around them. Travelers are no longer just asking where they should go, but they are asking, does this feel like me? Or as some of my more Gen Z friends would call it, it's just a vibe. So with that, I would like to throw the floor open to our panelists. And if you could please start with a little bit of an introduction of yourselves and give us what you think the word vibe means in the time we are today. Let's start with you, Amit.
Hi everyone. So I'm Amit. I'm the founder of Postcard Travel Club. What we're doing is we basically are a community of conscious luxury travelers. We represent them. And what we connect them with is boutique hotels, high-end boutique hotels that embed experiences in narratives around local stories of culture, community, food, history, nature, and wildlife. So what we otherwise refer to as hidden gems, right? When we travel and we come back and like, hey, we saw that really cool thing in the middle of the Amazon forest or in the middle of the Namibian desert, glamping. These are sectors that are fairly new, and what we are doing is we're trying to get the hidden gems together and then connect them with conscious luxury travel community that we're building around, starting with India, but then we're going to expand that into the international market. The whole idea of vibe traveling for us, I think that we saw a major shift post-COVID, right? COVID, I think a lot of people lost their dear ones as well. But we realized that people realize that life is limited and they want more meaning in their travel. So luxury consumption also became more purpose and meaningful consumption. And I think it's also very inherent to us because, our identity itself is depending on how we consume. And you can consume something where you go to a fancy hotel and you stay by the poolside and you say, hey, that's luxury. But you can also consume where you say that, okay, I want more out of my travel. I want more. I have my luxury. I want my creature comforts, but I want more meaning, right? And that's when you connect with local stories and, you work in that channel. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Amit. Please, Manav, if you could introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you for having me. Great to be part of this. So I would say, firstly, my name is Manav Saraf, Director of Gainwell Travel and Vice Captain at Gainwell Sports. My job is slightly unfair. I send people to watch Formula One races and FIFA World Cup and Cricket World Cup matches, and I get paid to do that. So yeah, we basically do sports travel. But when you ask me what vibe traveling is, I'd say it's where the destination almost becomes irrelevant and the experience you have on your trip takes over. It's where it's not about where you went, it's about who you were with, what you were doing, how you felt in that moment. And the decision around kind of making that trip was based on the fact that how many such moments would I be able to collect as part of this trip as against if I'm going to another destination or to another place. So that's where I think our role as travel professionals has changed completely because if we're picking up a ready-made itinerary off a website or from a TMC or of a travel tourism board website, that's not going to really be an easy sale anymore.
Absolutely, absolutely. I 100% agree that it's not just about where all you have gone, it's about who you are and what experiences you collect and the stories you tell through them. Thank you, Manav. Can I ask, please, Nupur, to introduce herself?
Hi everyone, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm an industry manager with Google India, and in my role, I work with some of the largest travel players in the country to support them on their journey of growth. What we focus on is to help these partners navigate the complex, dynamic, and evolving digital ecosystem with support from Google Insights and the platforms that we have to drive their business growth. And like my co-panelists have mentioned, the Indian traveler mindset is going. We are seeing a profound shift in this Indian traveler mindset. It's no longer about sightseeing, but more about seeking experiences. To me, vibe is that cultural and emotional undercurrent, under this shift that defines the vibe of a trip. And like Manav said, it's not about the destination or where you're going, but how do you feel? That's the vibe for me.
Fantastic. And can I please ask Ms. Pabs now to introduce herself?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Priyanka, for putting this together. And my name is Pabs Raghava. I'm the CEO and founder of Tours Limited. We are a destination management company for North and South America. And when you say vibe, there's always a vibe in travel. Only thing, the vibe is shifting, right? So there is still the millennials, then we have the Gen Zs, and then we have the baby boomers. Everybody has a vibe in their own way to travel. But I see there is a shift in the, we are making newer itineraries, itineraries which has more feelings and experiences built into it. Whereas, the itineraries we were building, and we are still building them for the people who just want to come and see the iconic sites. Both have their own purpose of travel. And I think it's like a graph. So we are seeing this new emerging stuff coming up, and we are also catering to the people who still want to do the, iconic stuff. There's nothing wrong in both sides of the travel. It's just that, we are now delving into a new area, which did not exist as much as is existing today. So we are super excited about what's coming on, and we are ready to take it on, and looking forward to do some, beautiful stuff together in travel.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ms. Babs. It's been a long time since the industry has evolved. We've come a long way rather from, the 2-night, 3-day trip to London, with your family, where you're doing location after location after location. It will leave you wanting a vacation after a vacation. It's one of those things. So we've seen a decline in that genre regardless. Like, it's been a long time coming. We've seen a decline in that genre. Hence, we have platforms such as Gainwell, and we have platforms such as Postcard that are enabling these experiential experiences. What would you say has fundamentally changed in the way that people are traveling now? Is it a generational thing? What would you say, Mr. Amit? Like, I will let you start with this. Of course, please.
So for me, I think it's, personally, I feel COVID played a big part in changing mindsets, right? We got a time to pause. 2 years, nothing happened. There was that whole revenge tourism thing that came up. And then people, I think, realized the surface level, how they were traveling was very meaningless, right? It was very much action-oriented, but there was no depth in travel. And I feel that what's happened post that is there's just been this emergence, and we're seeing the trends as well, where people want more meaning. They want to have stories that they come back and say, hey, you know what, I had this storytelling session with such and such person. So there's many layers now that people are asking for in travel, and I think that probably triggered it. Maybe one of the things. I think also millennials are now, there's a whole mindset shift in the millennials as well, right? So, and India being such a massive emerging market as well with so much demand, I think it's a great sign that as more suppliers start to get more immersive in and more story narrative-based experiences, I think it's just great for the market. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Amit. Manav, in terms of sports tourism, I've seen a lot of destinations that are now promoting a lot of sports tourism. So can you tell us what do you think is the shift in this mindset that is enabling this?
I mean, there's a huge shift, no doubt, firstly. Um, at my father's generation, if he told his dad that I'm thinking of traveling to the US to watch the FIFA World Cup, he'd have been shot down probably. But in our generation, the whole idea of traveling to watch a match or a Coldplay concert or a Tomorrowland to Thailand is become a very normal thing. The more and more of it that happens around you, more and more people start to accept it. The fact that A, it's more accessible, B, it's not as expensive, C, people travel much more frequently. A lot of this helps. And yeah, with companies like us, what we're trying to do is rather than those kind of trips being made impromptu in an unplanned way, we're trying to make it legally, officially accessible in a way that kind of makes that 5% difference when you are on the fence whether to make the trip or not. When there's a legal way, with an official partner to kind of make that trip easy, that's where we come in.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Manav. Ms. Fabs, if you want to take the floor now.
Oh, no problem. No, I was just wanting to say that the Indian narrative in travel has changed so much, right? So we are getting, so many requests for, how Amit mentioned, for glamping and, making a pizza class or, getting together for a cooking class. And those experiences built into the itinerary really makes the itinerary full and complete now. It's not just about going and seeing some iconic buildings, but you experiencing the culture, experiencing the food in a different way that you'll remember for a long time, not just eating and leaving, but cooking it. That makes a whole difference. So the itineraries we are building right now is just out of the world. The experiences we are curating for people, and even for MICE programs, we are the corporate programs, we are building some team building workshops, which enhances so many aspects of your brain thinking, on different things. So it's a really totally new platform, and the Gen Zs and the millennials, they're traveling so much. We have 4 kids and they've seen more than half of the world by the time I was their age, the same time. Every weekend they are somewhere. They finish work by Friday and they board a flight, so that's exciting. And India being as young as a country as it is, there's so much coming out of the Indian market. It's going to be fabulous.
That's great. I mean, I think that you had a...
I had one more. Yeah, I think it's the experience economy as well, right? I think people are now buying less product, and people are saying that, look, I want to spend money on experiences. So even the pizza making workshop, etc., the question is who's organizing it, right? So it could be organized by someone just like that, or it could be organized by someone who has been doing it as a grandmother, who's been doing, making the dough, and their story gets to be told. And what's interesting here is you build empathy in the traveler, right? They get to learn about the story of, let's say, Italy, for example, from a person that's been a resident. And then you kind of, it's just better travel travel for good in that sense.
Lately we've seen terms come up like, oh, that place is very touristy, or it's a tourist trap. So we're seeing a shift from that perspective, absolutely. I'm sure that social media played a huge part in shaping how people travel and such, but is it now becoming a passe? Is it now more niche? Is it now that, oh, this place has gone very viral and I don't think that I want to go there. I'm sure that there will be tons of people there and I don't think that I want to go there. Can I please let Nupur take this one?
From a Google lens, we are actually already seeing some of that shift. Today, there are the growth in the kind of queries like, ungoogled destinations, hidden gems, they're growing at a much faster pace than must-visit monuments. So that shift is very, very evident. And to your, to the earlier question about what's driving this shift, a lot of reasons that have already been spoken about, but the way I'm looking at it is, with the advent of Gen Z, which doesn't believe in the savings economy and is more, about investing in experiences and their brand identity, I think this bit about finding that hidden gems or visiting something that nobody else has visited has become a social currency. they win bragging rights by, finding some of those hidden gems. And I also feel that AI is playing a big role around it. A very personal example, we were in Jaisalmer for a work trip in December, and one of my colleagues and me, we had a free evening. We were like, what do we do? And we just asked Gemini, what are some of the non-touristy things to do in Jaisalmer? One of the things that came up was shopping for silver jewelry. And the next question was, can Gemini give some good stores to visit? It actually gave us an option. It was a house with no board around it. We called the person, we went to the basement. It was a massive place. And it was basically a basement below the house. Three of us, we shopped for a good 30-40K of silver jewelry. And when we came back and spoke to the group, it did really give us those bragging rights that we came to Jaisalmer and didn't do the touristy stuff and did something in the field. So what I'm coming to is AI and technology is also supporting this beyond social media, which of course has made discovery very visual. From Google Lens, what we are seeing is many people are actually using image as search terms. So you've seen a video on YouTube, taken a screenshot, or just used a circle to search to actually identify that place. Destinations are no more the starting point. The starting point is some video that you've seen or some image that you've seen. So it's a culmination of so many different things. The ability to pay, moving away from that savings economy to this investing in experiences, the younger generation, the advent of technology, just a lot of these different things are falling in place, and we are seeing that big shift today.
That sounds absolutely insightful. And as my Gen Z friends would say, I'm investing in myself and my experiences. So again, it has come back to a point where we were like, it is really not about where to go and what to do. It's more about who we are, how we make decisions. It's become so much more consumer decision driven. Can we talk about, can we quickly also talk about how this shift in consumer mindset, like the shift in the traveler's mindset and the industry are not matching up? Like, where do you reckon is still a gap? Where is the challenge? What is the, like, how is it always chasing behind and never matching up to where the industry is going? Can we start with you, Rupar?
For me personally, I think that pivot is happening. Like Pap said, from it's that one generation which still wants to visit all the key monuments, the historical aspects at some point were very relevant, versus the newer generation where it's more about why and how of a destination. As we are pivoting, right, there are travel players like Postcards which are curating all the content, but then there are also so many traditional travel partners that we see where the product is not matching up, right? You still get curation by, let's say, budget or 5-star versus 4-star properties. I wish there was a filter there to say, okay, experience. So the product is still to match up. While we have players like Gainwell in the industry, honestly, not enough is known about them. I wish I knew a lot more to explore. Like, we were chatting up some of the things that I learned were not known. So I think it's that pivot where things are changing, but like you said, a lot needs to be done to catch up. The product needs to evolve. The curation needs to evolve. If you ask me, there is so much of creator content on YouTube, other social media platforms, but does that kind of experiential content exist on players' portals? No, it doesn't. So all of that needs to evolve to cater to the vibe traveling change.
Market. Yeah, absolutely. Ms. Babs, can I please let you take the question? What do you think is the industry still lacking or chasing when it comes to vibe traveling or traveling by vibe? Like, where is the gap?
Honestly, I don't think there is a gap because every travel has to have an experience and some historic and some iconic stuff. You just can't go to a place and do everything experience or everything iconic, or then history will not exist. It's important to know what this country did, and so I think you have to kind of strike a balance. Yes, previously it was just sightseeing, right? Getting onto a coach and looking left, looking right, and saying this is this, this is that. But now you're building, you're going to an iconic place, okay, learning about Taj Mahal, for example, but you're also coming out and doing other stuff, maybe go to a building workshop. So now you're incorporating two different things into it. One or the either is not less or more important, but incorporating this new stuff into it, which the new generation is brought on, is a great experience to travel. Because you think of the things, when you see a thing, you remember the facts. But when you do a thing, you experience it. Experience the city, the culture, the people, the food, and also the food habits of people have changed. It's not the traditional food which people will go to a country to look for is Indian food, whatever, to give you an example. But now people are, experiencing different food, palates across the world. So they are getting used to eating more different kinds of food, and that also brings a lot of vision into opening up for other areas of travel, because food is an important part of travel. So I think, a little bit of everything would make a perfect itinerary. When one overflowing the other it's not a great experience, because when you come back, you'll only think about the things you did, but nothing you saw. Seeing is also important and feeling is also important, I think, in my opinion. So I think right now we are getting to a point where we are building really good itineraries to incorporate both so that people can have a good balance.
Absolutely. Manav and Amit, I want each of you to also take an opinion on this, because I want to hear from your perspective also. Where do you think is the gap in the market still?
Honestly, there's things being done on the supply side to improve for sure. Have we reached a point where there is no gap yet? No. But I'll give you examples. So most tourism boards that are proactive in India are building an events calendar, which you'll see on their website. So when you're planning a trip, say to Dubai in August 2026, you can go to a section that says these are the events that are happening, whether there's a marathon happening, a concert happening, a comedy celebrity being part of it. That's where the tourism board's trying to help. But there's also gaps for sure. It doesn't have to be anything very significant. For example, if I'm in Europe, I'm in a city like Austria doing a sightseeing tour. Rather than doing a regular sightseeing tour, I could be on a Segway. At night, I could be having a warm waffle and in front of that same monument. So rather than seeing that monument by itself, which becomes a traditional way of traveling, being on a Segway with a waffle in my hand at night becomes the vibe traveling element. You understand? So there's things like that. It's just a manner of thinking where a lot of the travel supply from the tourism boards, from the DMCs, from the planner's point of view needs a little bit more effort. That shift in thinking has to come. It's coming, but as I would say, as more of people in my generation enter the travel workforce, that shift is going to be faster.
Thank you for that, Amit. We were literally there having the waffle on a Segway.
Just plus one to both what Pabs brought out and Manav. There is supply, there is demand. In between, that plug needs to come in, right? Where the different generations or people who want different things can actually see it. Like I wish, I was quite amazed by the postcard website. It brings out the experience. But if you go to one of the more established players' website, you don't feel it, right? You still see 3 days, 7 days, 9 days itineraries being there. So can we have both the worlds? to choose the best.
I think so. I think what we're looking for now is a bridge. It's like we're literally trying to find what bridges the traditional way of traveling versus what gets us to see the Eiffel Tower while on a Segway having the waffle. Amit, can you please take this now?
So mine is a very different take, right? I see it even downstairs. People are trying to promote destinations, they're trying to promote deals, they're trying to promote offers. I think we need to change that mindset. We need to start promoting stories, right? People now have money, people have choices. And the question is, why should I come to your country? Why should I come to your region? The why, I think, is being missed because we're getting into the transactional mindset. So I feel that if we start talking about the deeper stories of the places and we kind of relate to it, so whether it's travel and whether it's sports, it's about that layer of discovery which is beyond the transaction. And people have the money to pay a premium. We see the stats as well. People are prepared to pay 20% more if there's an impact which they can kind of talk about. So they want that. They want to be able to have that. Be able to talk about bragging rights, what we call that. I did something different, right? Whether it's the Segway with a waffle in hand or anything else. So I think it's really the tourism boards, I feel, need to change their mindset and start talking more about less transaction, less come to my country, but also start talking about why. I think those stories matter now.
Thank you so much, Amit. Absolutely, I feel like what we've come to an impasse where it's like there are people who want to enable this change, and then there are tourism boards who are trying to reach there, and then there are people waiting to just hop on a bike and get away. I'm seeing a rather current shift in this, like we were discussing earlier, Amit, that this weekend getaway type of travel, or quick getaway, but we want more experience out of it, or much longer, like a 3-week just in Bali, just to experience the culture. Robert, can we have a little insight on what are the, like, let's say, the most popular keywords that are coming up now, or what are the most popular, if you can say, if you.
So it's a full range, right? But like you said, there was a time when international trips would typically be 8 to 10 days. Now there's a range, right? People, it's a new year, it's a long weekend, you have so many visa-free countries. People are willing to just take an extra day off to travel. Versus at the same time, there are trips where people are taking much longer. So it's very difficult to stereotype a traveler today, an Indian traveler. And that's the choice that is also visible in, when we look at the data at our end. I think one definite shift that we're seeing is that travel is becoming more visual, more experiential. One stat that I was looking at was we did a survey, and about 60 to 70% people said that the inspiration for travel actually begins when they've seen the videos, like on YouTube. So it isn't starting with a preconceived notion of this destination I want to go. Interestingly, there are now queries where people are saying, I have 1 lakh budget. I want to go to a beach place. So it's about what I want to do, how I want to feel. That's where the research is starting. Vis-a-vis saying that I want to go to Bali, how much it will cost. Today people are saying I have 1 lakh rupees and I want to go to a beach place. So, yeah.
Lovely, absolutely insightful. Just quickly to wrap up, can we have everybody just tell us what do you think is, like, where do you think the market is headed now? A little bit of a future trend prediction, if you will, or how do you think that you would like it to see, or where you can help, where your roles can help. We can start with you, Babs.
Yeah, I would like to see it come more of experience, and more experience. Because I think that adds so much glam to the tour. And I think, that's what I would like to see. is now people not just coming for the standard, itineraries and doing the same old thing, but they need to widen their horizons and say, how can we experience this place through culture, vibe, people, food, and immerse themselves into the country rather than just coming to see some sights. I think that's where the future is heading, and I think that's where we need to build the itineraries to kind of tailor to that so that we can also show the people who have just been coming for the sights there's more than to the travel than this. Yeah.
Thank you. Nupur?
Yeah, from some of the panels yesterday, and from everything that we are seeing, travel is definitely a category that's poised to grow, and grow like how. We are the shift from the savings mindset to investing in self or brand identity. That's the other shift. With all of this, I feel like there is immense opportunity for many different kind of players to exist and for people to experience those choices. Like you said, I think it will be amazing if tourism boards and if other such authorities come together to plug that play between the existing demand and supply to make the experiential economy, like an everyday thing versus us just talking about it on a panel.
Fantastic. Manav, do you want to take that?
Sure. Honestly, I think the shift that we are seeing towards experiential travel is only going to grow more exponentially in the times to come. Somebody in one of the panels yesterday said something like 40% of decision making for travel now originates from Instagram. If it's 40% now, it will be 60% very soon. But what's also true is that the decision has originated where they've traveled because of Instagram, but what they do on the trip is also going to change more quicker in terms of, is this going to look better on my Instagram when I go back, right? So because a lot more people in the peer groups are traveling, everyone wants to make their trip more different from the competition. It's almost like, if my friend went to Paris and saw the Eiffel Tower, can I go to Paris and watch the French Open? That'll look cooler on my story. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but that shift is going to be more exponential. Social media is a big part of it. But it's not just social media as well. I feel that people take more frequent trips, they take shorter trips. So it's more important for travel professionals to be able to pack more moments into a smaller trip. How many moments can I pack into a 2-day itinerary? For example, I was in New York on a transit while coming back from attending the FIFA World Cup draw in Miami a few weeks ago. And I did 35,000 steps in a day in New York, not because I'm a fitness freak, it's just because I had so much to pack in just 24 hours. So that's going to happen more and more, and it's a huge opportunity because a lot of niches are going to appear. Sports travel is a niche. People think it's not a huge market. It is humongous. There are going to be even smaller niches than sports travel that are going to be multi-million-dollar industries soon. So the opportunities are going to be endless.
I 100% agree. It's very, the economy is now, with the onset of the experiential economy, it's very much, my trip is not about hitting France, Germany, Spain. It's more about getting to the concert, attending the concert, and then what else can I do after I've attended the concert or before I reach there. So the decisions are being made as per the short time of when I'm going to be there and how many moments can I collect there. Amit, would you like to add to that?
So, similar take. I think your identity is now being driven. Your identity is now being created based on how you travel, right? And you get to tell the story. So I feel that one of the things that we can do is, and what we try to do is kind of give the lenses through which we connect to the consumer. So instead of saying Ladakh, we talk about the Pashmina Trail in Ladakh, right? Are you curious about the Pashmina Trail? Do you want to see how the Changtaz live, right? Do you want to spend time with them? If you're down in South India, in Karnataka, for example, and you want to go to Coorg, we talk about the coffee story with Evolve Back, right? Would you like to go in on a 4-day immersion? What that does, and there's two parts to it. There's this is more slow travel, right? This is more about really soaking in the experience, being a part of, like, let's say a coffee experience in the middle of the coffee plantation on a little ramp, right, where you're sunset with music, etc. So it's very, very thought through. And I feel that, travel designers now, at least what we are seeing in the luxury market, is that they are trying to find these narratives. And the marketing that's happening around these is around narratives, around 3-day, 4-day, 7-day experiences. But everything that has a story, and then your experiences on a per day basis is kind of plugged into the overall story. So I think we need to get more creative in how we present our destinations through the narratives, through immersions that are curated over 3-4 days, maybe more. But I think, that creative layer needs to be now added. We need to get away from that clutter, that old school mindset that, okay, I'm selling my destination. It's no longer about the destination, right? It's about the story within the destination that needs to highlight.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Amit, did anybody have any closing thoughts or add-ons?
To add a point from what Amit mentioned, I think it's very necessary that we hyper-personalize the stories today. That one size fit all definitely doesn't exist. It's time that we cater to individual needs. 2026 we've been talking about AI. 2026 is about agentic AI, and I feel that that can play a big role in hyper personalizing the narratives, the stories for each traveler in India.
How do you think that will happen? If you can throw on any insight on that.
No, so like I mentioned, today, even as individual travelers, it's no more about checklist research. We've not decided on a destination and then, gone about flights to an X destination or hotels to X destination. Somebody was telling me that they were planning a trip to Varanasi, and the research began with the prompt saying that a 4-day trip to Varanasi, which is spiritual, but gives them an experience of the silk sarees and the weaving of silk sarees, along with Aarti on the boat. Now, this kind of, you don't have an existing itinerary or a program to meet this need, right? But the AI can now carve out an itinerary or an experience which is as customizable as the ask.
It can deliver.
It can deliver.
It can deliver.
I think also you can demand premium, right? So if you guys are suppliers in the market, I think when you kind of package the product around a narrative, what happens is two things. One is you draw in people only who are interested in that narrative, right? So the Pashmina Trail in Ladakh, for example, is aligned with the fashion industry, right? It's aligned with people who are into that story, who are curious about the story. So the minute you kind of bring in there, two things happen. One is you get a group that's really aligned. They're very curious. So they meet other people that are very curious. So it's a great experience for them. And on the other side, everything that you're kind of delivering in the experience is all collectively being appreciated, because you don't have a scene where, oh, I didn't want this, and someone may not be connected with the story. So I think you can even demand premium in terms of pricing, and also create more meaning, because that kind of flows down into the identity aspect that Manav talked about, right? I am who, based on how I travel. And I think the industry is in a great space right now to sort of start really switching it over to the storytelling aspect as opposed to, storytelling marketing as opposed to destination marketing.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. I think what we've covered today is that experiential economy is bound to grow, but that is not at the cost of the traditional industry. It is in fact, it's with it. We're looking to create experiences that tie in a lot of the aspects of experiences, as long as the iconicness of destinations and iconicness of experiences as well. I'm seeing that AI is going to play a big role in it. Social media has already played a massive role in it, so we're yet to see what AI will do. But thank you so much, everybody, to be on the panel. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, that was all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.